I wanted to thank you all for joining me on my webinar. My name is Julie Jensen. I do the customer care specialist or support specialist. Many of you may have talked to me before. We're going to take a kind of an in-depth guide of email W-2 statements, and I wanted to let you all know that the PDF file or the PowerPoint file I'm working on will be available and emailed out to you, so don't feel like you have to jot anything down. All this information will be available to you. I spent a couple days trying to get everything you would need into this PowerPoint to make a smooth email W-2 process over the next month. So we'll just go ahead and get started. If any of you currently use the email suite, you're probably pretty familiar with the email suite setup window. I'm going to go over it for anyone who's new. So when we get to the email suite setup window, obviously we want to activate the product. You can use the Outlook as your email method, or you can use an SMTP setting to send. And then we have a subject line, and you can put in like email W-2 statements. And you can customize this. You can say like put in the year 2014. If you send with SMTP, you might want to blind carbon copy your payroll user, and then you'll get a copy of all the emails. It is with Outlook, you can see the sent items folder, and you can process through there. With SMTP, unless you have access to the server, you won't see your sent items. So if you blind carbon copy, you'll have a better luck, and we'll be able to resend those. Next, we have the email body. Here you can say, attached is your W-2 statement for 2014. We also send an instruction file, so you can attach that as well. You can tell them how to open it if you're doing the last four of the Social Security number. If you want to customize a password, you can select the custom password and enter that in and provide them information on what their password is. If you wanted to, some users will put in a link to the Adobe PDF reader, and then their user can just download it straight from the email and be able to open their W-2 statement fairly easily. And you can password protect the PDF files, so they're very secure. And then we have the PDF file location, and this is where all the work is done with the PDF files. So if you do, I recommend you set up an employee folder and an employer folder. We go out and we work in these folders, we create PDFs, we password protect the PDFs. So having two separate folders just gives a cleaner look and enables you to find those files more readily. And then we also have the ability to archive W-2s. And so this archive checkbox will create the employee PDF file, and it'll save all of those PDF files under the employee PDF file location in a folder that is labeled for the year. So if you ever need to get to those PDF files and resend them, they'd be pretty easy to just go out to that archive location and then forward the PDF file to the employee. We also have the missing email list. If you're new to using email statements and you're not sure if everyone's set up correctly, you can click the missing email list report, and it'll print all the employees that do not have an email address set up. Manage W-2 recipients. We're going to get into more detail on this in a couple of slides, so I'm just going to hold off on that. Once you have this set up, it's pretty simple. You just use the same settings almost every year. The only difference is every year you need to go in and probably check your subject line and your email body and update that information so that if you had 2013 for last year, you have 2014 for this year. All right. So our next slide, I kind of put together all the information I really wanted you to have. So here's where I talk about the email method, the blind carbon copy. We've got the subject line, the email body. I'm not going to read through this. This is just for you to have later if you're thinking, she said something about that, and you want to go back and take a look at what I said. All the important information is in here. We also have links to our knowledge base, articles for email earning statements and email W-2 statements. I mentioned custom passwords. You can set up custom passwords. We have a KB article on how to import those passwords into your system, and you'll be able to check that out on our website. And then we mentioned you can password protect the PDF files. So we have a KB article that discusses that level of security. The reason why we use Adobe and require Adobe PDF Writer is they have the highest security features for the PDF files. And we have a couple of layers of security. So if you want a really good read, you can go out and take a look at that, that article. And one tip with PowerPoint is you can only click on a link if you're in viewing mode. So I do have a slide at the very end that will show us all the links, the actual links, so you could copy and paste them if you don't want to open the PowerPoint in a viewing mode. And this is just a continuation of the setup tips and tricks. So you have your PDF file location. This is where everything is stored. I'm not going to go into more details. So next, we get to our Manage W-2 Recipients window. This window is where you select who you're going to send your emails to. To send W-2 files electronically, you're required to get permission from the employee to do that. So if you, we have some sample forms of what to send an employee to get their permission. And so the Manage W-2 window just allows you to mark the employees that have consented. And once you've marked them as consenting, then they will be available to send an email to. This window allows, you can filter in this window, so if you want to look for a certain set of employee IDs or look by employee class, it makes it easier to go in and mark and unmark employees that way. Departments, we changed our active/inactive employees. So if you're a customer who's been using our product in the past, we modified this so you can use it with more ease. So today, if you know you don't want to send any PDF files to inactive employees, maybe they worked through June and then they were terminated, and you know you're going to mail them a W-2 statement because you're not sure their email is active, or maybe you didn't get permission in June in their exit interview to send them the W-2 statement. In the past, you'd have to kind of scroll through the employees and find the inactive ones and uncheck them. Now you can just click the inactive employees radio button, and it'll filter just the inactive employees. So you will be able to just get all the inactive employees, and if you want to unmark all of them, you can just hit unmark all. And then you can go back to all employees or just active employees, and then go through and check and uncheck the employees that you want to see on your list. When you're all done, you can do a nice little edit check. We see a total marked. So if you're expecting 2,000 employees to be marked, you can just validate that you have the correct number marked. And if you have 2001, you may want to review your list or see if there's someone that shouldn't be in there. And that pretty much sums up the Manage W-2 Recipients window. And here's our tips and tricks. All of this I pretty much talked about when we went through the window, so I'm not going to bore you with reading these details. And this information is in our user guide, but I went ahead and included it for you guys here so you could have access to it. It's the IRS publication that lists all the requirements for electronically delivering the W-2 statements. So if you want to read through these in your spare time, you can. We all know that payroll users have lots of spare time at year end to read through stuff like this. But we did do a lot of research when we created this product, and we made sure we were in compliance with the laws and provided that information to you. Earlier I was talking about sample employee PDF file consent. So here we have a sample email that you can send to the employees. Here's a sample PDF consent form. If you wanted to send out a PDF file that they could open and read, maybe you want to do that with your emailed earnings statement, we have functionality where you can save this PDF file, and then when you process their last earnings statement, you can attach this file with it and put in the information for accepting the W-2 as an electronic file. So next we get to the main part, which is the actual processing of it. So we've got it set up. We know what employees we want to send. Now the next step is, how do we process all these people? How do we get them to send? So you first select your year, and we use the Microsoft Great Plains year-end wage file. So once you go in and create your year-end wage file through routines in Microsoft, you'll see this 2014 in your drop-down list now. And we added functionality, so if you're a customer who's been with us for a while, we added the report year. And so you can see that 2014 is the year with all my data in it, and we can see that the report year is 2014, and we can verify that we're going to send the right report. Some of our customers missed an upgrade or didn't get notified of an upgrade, and they were testing it, and they had sent out like 2012 reports in 2013. So we added this little edit check here to make it a little bit easier for you to process your statements. When you select the address ID, your company and address information and your employer identification number typically will fill in this window. If it doesn't, you can key it in yourself. And then we can double check our subject line and our email body just to make sure we've got the right years in there and nothing needs changed. If you do need to change something, you can click the email setup button and it'll open our setup window, the first one we had, and you can edit your information right there. And then we have a few options for sending. You can save an employer copy, or you can include printed W-2 statements for printed employees. So employees that declined to receive their electronic W-2 statement, you can still print their copy D for your records, and we can create that PDF file, and that is saved under the employer's PDF file location. So if you want the copy D to be created, you can check the Save an Employer Copy. If you want all the email people and all the people that will actually get a printed W-2 statement, you can click the Include Printed W-2 Employees, and then you'll get one PDF file with all your employees listed in it. And then you can select Copy B, Copy C, Copy 2. If you select one, they'll get a PDF file with 1 page. If you select all 3, they'll get a PDF file with 3 pages, each copy on 1 page. If you have multi-page printing, we do support that, and If you had all 3 checked and you had a multi-page, they might get 6 pages in their one PDF file to cover that. So once we're all ready to process, the last thing to do is to make sure our employee list is correct. And we added a record count, so you can now see if you're expecting 2,000 employees in the list, you can see that you have 2,000. Anyone in this list that displays right here, when you hit the process button, they will be processed through. If you use Outlook as your sending method, if Outlook is closed, the PDF files, they will not send until you open Outlook. So sometimes customers may want to close Outlook, wait for the whole entire process to finish, edit check a couple W-2s, then open Outlook and watch all their files send. That's up to you. If you leave Outlook open, they'll just send as soon as our add-in sees that the files are ready to go. So a couple other things. You've noticed my one employee is missing an email address. If they're missing an email address, you get a warning that says, you know, some employees are not going to get an email because we don't have an email address. The system still creates the PDF file and it still password protects it. Some users like to save these in the archive. That way if an employee asks for it later, it's accessible. They can just double click it, type in the password, and print it off. You don't have to store W-2 files or think about printing them later. That file is available. And then you can also send to multiple email addresses. So I have 2 on Nancy Buchanan's email address. If you use Outlook, you just separate it with a semicolon. And if you use SMTP, you separate it with a comma. And if we want to do a different email address than the one that's set up in Microsoft Dynamics GP on the employee internet information window, you can type that into the Manage W-2 Recipients window, and the system will use the other, the alternate PDF or the alternate email address. So that's just some tips and tricks. If you want to process the first email to yourself and make sure that is correct, you could set yourself up as the alternate email address and then come into this window, hit the refresh button, verify your email address is in here, hit process, and then see that the files are sent to you. Another thing you can do is if you're in the list, you can filter and you can select your employee ID to your employee ID, and it will just display your one line. And you can always refresh if you go in and change your email address. Just click the refresh button and you'll see the email address that it's going to send to. And you can process. Now when you process email earning statements and email W-2 statements, we always print an error report. It's a way to let you know the system is done processing the PDF files. We didn't encounter any errors in our processing. So ideally you want to get the error report, you want to print it, and you want it to see, you want it to say you have 0 employees with errors, and that's our perfect scenario. And so once we're done, we validated our employees, we just hit the process button, and the system goes to work. A couple of tips. If you find that it takes a little while to process your PDF files, maybe you're trying to send about 1,000 and it takes 40 minutes. That's a bit excessive in terms of processing time. So you can try to, if you save your PDF files on a local drive, sometimes that will rule out network connectivity issues. Also, if you use a UNC Paths, which is, you know, like //server1/payroll, that's UNC Paths, the system has to connect to that path consistently. And so when you hit process, it has to go out and make that connection. And occasionally it'll time out, and you might get 1 or 2 employees on the error report that says, hey, we couldn't process these 2 employees. A workaround for that is to map your drive. So you can go into Windows Explorer and say, you know, I want to map my J drive to my email earning statements processing PDF file location. And then that connection gets established when you log onto your machine, and the system tries to maintain that connection throughout the day, and it's not trying to connect the moment you hit the process button. So sometimes that will speed up the process a little bit. And also you can check with your IT department to see if you have some antivirus software. And if you do have antivirus software running, you should be able to whitelist the PDF file location. So your antivirus software may be scanning each PDF file individually, which adds a lag in terms of time. And it'll scan it when it creates it, and then it scans it again when it sends it. So if you wanted to tell your IT person, here's where I create my PDF file, could you please make an exception in the antivirus and not scan this file location? And then they'll just get scanned when they email out through your email process. So hopefully those are some tips and tricks that you learned something. And then again, this is just more information. I covered all of this, talking about the window. One thing I didn't cover is this year we have a knowledge base article on how to update your W-2 form yourself in Report Writer. If you were on GP 10.0, we no longer support that. I have very few customers on 10.0, but if you were, since we no longer support it, you'd have to go into Report Writer and modify the W-2 statement, and you can go ahead and do that. If you're on GP 2013 or GP 2010, we had a full code release, and we do include bug fixes and features in our code release, so I would recommend part of your year-end upgrade to go ahead and download the latest version. Also, GP 2013 customers that are moving to R2, between SP2 and R2, there are compatibility releases where RSP2 code will not run on Dynamics GP R2. So you have to upgrade to get the latest code, which is compatible. So if you fall into those situations, you can go to our download site and download the product. And then I also covered all of this information on our previous slide that showed the window, but it's available to you. So once you process the email, I've pulled up the 2014 report so you can see that there's information in here. And your employee will get an email address with their secure PDF file attached. And when they try to open it, they'll have to enter in their password. And once they enter in their password, they will be able to get to their W-2 information. And you can see we have a 2014. I didn't include all 3 copies. This is just 1 copy. But so when we talk about upgrading to the latest version, these are the latest versions that we have for GP 2013 and GP 2010. So if you don't know if you're on the latest version and if you need to upgrade for to get the report for 2014, then I put in how to validate your version information. You can go to our Activation Manager window in Microsoft Dynamics GP, and you can select the product from the drop-down list, email learning statement or email W-2 statements. And when you select that, you'll see a version right underneath the product. So if you're on version 12.0.14, then you're on the right version if you're in GP 2013. For GP 2010, if you're on 11.0.21, then you have the right version for GP 2010. If not, you can go out to our download page and download the product. So here's all the links I mentioned, and I just wanted you to have access to this. Before I publish it, I'm going to put the download link in here as well. That way you don't have to go find it on our website. Looks like I missed that one. So Once you get your email after the webinar, you'll see a product download page, and you'll have a link where you can go out and download the product. I also included some information on Microsoft Dynamics GP W-2s. If you print, of course, you'll probably send most of your W-2 statements through email. However, if a few employees decide that they really want a printed statement, legally you have to send them a printed statement. So Microsoft does support the deluxe W-2 forms. You cannot print it on a blank sheet of paper and just send it out through Dynamics GP. I also included the year-end blog from Microsoft Dynamics. If you have year-end questions about the whole entire process, not just W-2s, you can check out these blogs. Microsoft has a lot of information out there. If you have questions about ACA reporting, there's blogs out there for that as well. What's new in GP 2013 in terms of ACA reporting. So I included that link for you. One thing I'm going to mention, I've had a couple customers ask about is if they know employees want a printed W-2 statement, but they'd like to use our form because then they don't have to go out and buy special forms. So some customers go through the work effort of entering in a payroll email address as the email address, and they'll process. And then their payroll user will get the report in their PDF files. And then they can go out and they can open the file, type in the password, and just print that and then mail that to the employees. It is a little labor intensive to do that. So if you can get the printed forms from Microsoft and go through the printing process with Microsoft, it's probably better for you. But it's an option that's out there, and some of our customers really like to do that. Also, when you're in Dynamics GP and you do go to print your printed W-2 statements, we've put a little message out there that asks, do you want to include your email W-2 employees with this printing? And that's up to you. If you select yes, it'll print all employees. If you select no, it'll just print the employees that are not getting emailed. You may want to keep a file, a hard copy file, somewhere in a filing cabinet, and we do allow that functionality with the product. So we're getting really close on time. So that's pretty much how W-2s work, and a lot of the information that's out there for W-2 statements. We're getting really close on time, so here's my contact information. If you have additional questions, or I didn't answer what you were really looking for, or you want more information, maybe I talked about something and you're like, how does that really work? And you want to contact me, you can email me directly at jjensen@integrity-data.com, or you can email support@integrity-data.com. If I am out of the office, the support email gets sent to everyone. So if you want a real timely reply, you can do support, and Mike will probably get in touch with you and answer your question, as he has a lot of this information as well. So this pretty much wraps up the webinar, and since I ran over on time, I don't think I'm going to do a question and answer session. I have another session where I'm going to go over pretty much the same information in January. If you think there's information that I could add to this for January 9th, and maybe you want to attend that session as well, shoot me an email, and if it's something I can track down for you and I can include in the slide, I'd be more than happy to do that. So I hope you found this webinar very helpful, and I hope you guys have a great Friday afternoon and really enjoy the weekend. Have a nice day.